track rubber. I bought it for the pitted, really bad parts of the track. Yeah. Come on out of there. Oh, it feels like a pumice stone, like for your feet. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's a. I thought of it like a rubber, like an eraser. It's hard. It's like a pumice stone. So this is a good track. This is one of Jeffrey's tracks. You can see the rails are nice, uniform, clean, no pitting, so that's fine. And that's the kind of track I'm going to use in the final layout. This is one of the ones from the sets I bought that got me started, and this whole thing was 2 sets. And you can see it's got some like holes in it, I guess, where they ran wires at one point. This must have been a jumper track, and just got scaling and the whole bit. So I'm going to try the rail cleaner and see if I can get it cleaned up. That makes sense. It's the same width as the, and already I just do a couple strokes and you can see it coming off. See the rust? Okay. Yeah, so they made it the same width as the rails. Yeah, it's coming up immediately. You can see it's starting to get shiny, getting all that rust and scale off. This is very badly pitted track, so it's going to need some love and attention. I'm just running it up and down, and yeah, I saw a major difference right away. You can see it coming off, but it needs more. Like I said, this track is in horrible shape. Now, obviously, I'll use every piece that Jeff gave me, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough for the whole layout. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of these clean enough to be able to use. But obviously, yeah, this does work. This is a decent product that Hornby sells. It was actually made for cleaning railroad track, but it works good for our tracks too. And you got to be careful. You can't push too hard or go too deep, because then you'll wear off the coating that they have on top of these rails. And once you wear off the coating, now you're talking oil and wipe down and maintenance. It's not set it and forget it anymore. It's better. It's still not 100%, but you can see it is working. It is removing a lot of scale. I'll wipe that with IPA real quick. Clean that off. There we go. Yeah, that's better. That's a little bit cleaner. And I'm just gliding it lightly along the rails like that, not putting pressure on it. It feels very smooth, even though it's a rough stone. It feels very smooth going over the rails. And I just go back and forth more rapidly over the really bad areas that have a lot of pitting. Oh yeah, it's coming up. It works. There you go. So if you want to know if this stuff works, you can see the part I haven't done yet compared to the part I've been doing. And it is restoring it and bringing it up. And once again, I would say this is a last resort, because you know that you're taking off some of the surface. And, you know, as far as this having all that rubber, you know, and not coming clean, even though I've washed and washed and washed this track, I do need some straights that go into curves and transitions. And like the chicane that's down here for super gluing, I can paint this with the asphalt, with the texture paint, so that will cover up the ugly rubber piece now that I'm taking the time to restore the rails. So if you're thinking about getting the track cleaner, I'm not going to call it a rubber anymore, because it's not rubber, it's stone. Here you go, PL41 Rail Cleaner, Peco Electrics. Scalextric sells it, Action Slot Racing sells it. Accent Slot Racing is known for their used track, but they also have some new stuff. They have digital chips and some other stuff, so definitely check them out. I'm really happy with them. And at some point, I'll do a video where I compare the price of just a straight or two straights or four straights, whatever, from Scalextric and a standard radius curve versus what I paid for that stuff from Accent Slots. Obviously, used track is cheaper, but we'll see how much cheaper, and you can decide if it's worth it to go with used or not. All right, so my first attempt at restoring, I guess, the rails with the rail cleaner. Yeah, rail cleaner. Once again, this is our example check. This is the stuff that my buddy Jeff sent from America to get me started, my first additional track, if it were. And this is the problem track, right? This is very representative of what I got from the set. Not all pieces were this bad, but a lot of them were. So I went ahead and hit it with the rail cleaner, and it is much improved, but it still has those little bits of scale on it. See that? That stuff wouldn't come off, even though I, rubbed and rubbed and rubbed, and then at the very end, I hit it with metal polish. So if you want to see what was on those rails, this is after all that scrubbing with the stone. So yeah, it's, I mean, clean and clean and clean and clean, but it seems like 10 years or 15 years, 20 years of dirt on the track and on the rails. Once again, it looks much better. I'd feel much better about using this piece of track than it was before, but ultimately I hope I have enough pieces that look like this, and I wouldn't even need that particular straightaway, or that could be on the second track if I wind up doing the test track over there with the new 4x4. I have the board, I already own the board. I don't have the grass for it. I had to go buy that, and I don't have a desk or a table for it, so I'd have to build or buy that. And then the other thing is my little work area. I brought the chicanes and the hairpins over to glue, super glue, as I mentioned before. And this little table, which I don't know, 3-foot table maybe, is absolutely packed. The toolbox is right up to the edge. Then I've got some painting supplies. I've got the lacquer thinner. I got the magnetic tray. I've got the paint. I've got the smaller toolbox, which has spare parts, small parts. I have my little test track, controller, the power for that's over here. So it's tight. It's tight over here. So I'm going to need some kind of shelving to store some of the stuff, like the expanding foam, the lacquer thinner, the extra leftover paint, the other paint, the brushes for the paint. I mean, I need some shelves or a little shelving unit or storage or whatever to kind of organize some of the stuff, to have it close at hand, but not on the table. I need more room to actually work on the table. And this stuff all has to go too. I'm trying to open up some space underneath the stairs, and I can put more of that stuff underneath the stairs. So there'll be nothing but tools and slot car stuff. The track, once I populate the 4x4, whether it's going to be a standalone test track, which really appeals to me, because I've talked a lot on this channel about stock vehicles versus, souped up vehicles, race cars. And in my personal experience, the minute you make a car a race car, you lose reliability. Well, since I made the track a mega track, basically since I put the two 9-foot tables together, I've had issues running all the cars. They get stuck on a piece of the track, or, as I said, when I go to put it together this time, every single piece of track is going to be gone over. Only the best track will be used. It will be cleaned. The connections will be checked at the time I'm assembling it. I'm going to put it together first on top of the grass. And then if I'm happy with the layout and can live with it for, more than a week, I'll probably go ahead and take the hobby knife and cut the grass out underneath the track. So the track will lay directly down on the wood, and then the grass will be running along it like a border. The reason being the little pieces of grass sticking up that I showed you, I think the last video I made. So once again, that's slowing the cars down. It might be slowing them down a quarter of a second for an entire lap, but it's slowing them down. So I'm going to head and get rid of the grass underneath the track once I'm kind of happy with the layout. I was pretty happy with the layout before I changed the curves and switched sides. When the bank curve was down on that side, I liked that layout. I might start with that when I'm putting it back together, but now I'm adding the new wrinkle of the 4x4. But once again, the way my head is leaning right now is having that just be a very simple oval figure 8, a simple layout that I can power with one stock transformer. I cut the wire for my power supply. The wire, you can see the clips, the banana clips running up to the power supply. I cut the wire on one of them, this one, but the other is still whole. It's got the adapters for Thailand because it's a UK plug, but I can still plug that in to one of my power bases and have a very simple oval. And then that could be my test track. Like when I want to do the tire test, right, for the Ford GTE. So I want to run the GTE around the oval with a lap counter, which is one of the things in the big box that's coming, hopefully today or tomorrow. This week, I pray. Please, God, deliver my little package from England. When I get the lap counter, that can be part of the simple oval. I can run the GTE around 10 laps and see what my average time is. Then I can oil and lube the car, which is, remember, the body has never been off the GTE or the Nighthawk. Oil and lube them, put them right back on the track and see what difference it makes. Put on the Paul gauge tires and see what difference it makes. True the tires and see what difference it makes. This track in its many configurations, ever since I broke up the oval over here because I was, quote, bored, this track has been a challenge to get the cars around. First with the power unit, I bought a power unit. Now I need jumpers. I'm solving it. I'm working through the problems of having a big track, but there's nothing like 2 stock scalextric cars on a small set-like oval, right? Those will run all day. You turn on the switch, you pull the trigger, and the cars go around the track. Very simple, very easy. Even an idiot like me can do it, right? And it's boring. The straights are short, and there's no scenery or grandstand or anything like that. But it works. It's foolproof. It's childproof. An 8-year-old could play with a stock scalextric track, right? There's not a lot that can go wrong. So that's sort of my desire with the 4x4, at least in the beginning. Like with so many other things in life, it might turn out that the answer to my question, do I extend this track or do I make it a small standalone? The answer might be both. And so what I'll do is get the table built, I get the underpinnings built, set it up as an independent track, test all the cars, which I haven't done yet, make the modifications and test the cars, do my little improvements and all that stuff. And then maybe 2 weeks from now, a month from now, I'll go ahead and break it open like I did before when this was a U shape and connect the whole thing and make an even bigger monster track because you can't ever be big enough, right? So this, be a 18-foot by 4-foot and an 8-foot by 4-foot L shape. And it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. When the cars did get around the track, like the GT, which was very good at getting around the whole track, it was exciting. It was fun. It was thrilling. It was everything scale racing and slot car racing should be. I had a blast. So I want to get back to that point, and that takes ordering more track. that takes painting the curves for better grip, that takes tuning the cars, which I want to get a baseline before I start tuning, blah, 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 blah. And part of the enjoyment too, I get a kick out of the people in the stands and the little cars and the control tower. I'm going to really enjoy with the lap counter. I might get one of those little starting gantries, you know, the little Dunlop bridge, like a detail like the real Le Mans has. I enjoy all that stuff. So, yeah, that's all part of it for me and for a lot of people, is making the scenery a little more realistic and lifelike. That adds to the excitement of running the cars. So we'll get there. I mean, you know, once again, if I do set that up as a small oval, which I'm leaning towards right now, I still want to put this together as my, you know, Le Mans fake or whatever, just a racetrack basically to run the LMP cars, with both along, at least one long straightaway, probably two, and then some technical track S-curves going down to that little return section there. And once again, right now I can keep that simple like I had it before. The whole 4-foot sections function in life will be a turnaround for the big track until I open it up over there, and then I can get a little more fancy or complicated on those two boards, on the two 4x4s. So that's what's going on. Slow day painting. I painted those other, prepped and painted those other two tracks, just waiting for them to dry, waiting for the inner borders to dry, and then I'll shoot them with the texture paint. I'm going to do some super gluing today on the tracks, as I mentioned, and that will be it. The Dunlop bridge is over here, because I'm going to super glue people onto the bridge. You know, they just fall down. You have to super glue their feet to get them to stand up like they're spectators. So that's what's going on today, guys. Talk to you later.